This week, or in the next 12 weeks, as you know, starting with last week, we are talking about the 12 powers. The 12 powers are, if you're new to Unity or visiting and not sure, are faith, strength, judgment, love, power, imagination, understanding, will, order, zeal, and renunciation, and life. Not necessarily in those orders. And you go, well, I have to read them because I don't have them all memorized. Well, I'm not sure I ever will, but. So today we're talking about the power of imagination. That's a big topic, yes? Power of imagination. Now, Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, as you know, wrote 12 Powers of Man in 1930. 1930. And as over time in Unity, we've come to relate the powers with, first, Charles talked about in his teachings, the 12 tribes of Israel, and then later they got connected to the 12 disciples. But in reality, the 12 powers, as Charles began to develop his faith and his understanding and got divinely given an imagination, his teachings, the 12 powers originated with the first story, which is the creation story. The creation story. Charles Fillmore wrote the Metaphysical Bible in 1934, but then he wrote Mysteries of Genesis in 1936. Mysteries of Genesis. If you really want to deep dive and see where he came from, this is the development of the 12 powers in divine mind, idea expression. How many of you are familiar with Unity's creative process? Raise your hand. Oh, good, then you'll be listening. It's okay. Everybody take a deep breath. Relax. Everything's okay. We started with week 1, the 12th power, or faith. Deanne talked about that last week. This is week 2, where we're talking about the power of imagination. So I want you to use your imagination. Yes, you have to work a little bit. And I want you to go back. Now, we're going to go back and we're going to look at the creation story a little bit with as a metaphysical meaning and how these powers relate, right? But we all come here from different backgrounds. I mean, I was raised first Congregationalist, and then when we moved here, we were Southern Baptist. And then I came into Unity. And so we come with a certain framework around the creation story. And that's okay. None of it is wrong. We're not right or wrong. It's your interpretation of it. So understanding that these were the teachings of Charles. But we have to go back to the beginning because there was formlessness. There was formless. And then it says, God creates. God creates. If you don't take anything out of this message today, remember, God creates. Prior to creation, God imagined. Is imagination. And I'm going to tie this to your own thinking a little bit later. But God creates through the action of his mind and the idea of imagination. In creation, imagination, we can kind of use interchangeably. Yes? Creation, imagination. And so God creates. He imagines. He has formless. There's formless. And then there's thought. Imagination. Create. It's the idea behind the flower. The idea behind flower is beauty. The idea behind music is harmony. And the idea behind life is God. You with me? Yeah. God creates. And in this creation, this moment, is now the patterns of life informed in the universe that comes after. So let's look at that. It's important to remember in Charles's teaching that in the Genesis story and the process of creation, manifestation into physical being does not happen until man. That everything before that is creation, imagination, thought. Okay? So day one, there's darkness, formlessness. Day one. And God says, let there be light. Now, light is not formed, just light. Let there be light. The earth is still unorganized and empty, but now there's light. You know, scientists today are even seeing in our dark matter that there's particles of light, slivers of light. This is not a physical thing that has happened. This is the idea of being born. The seed begins with light. On day two, in Charles's writings, he says, God said, let there be firmament. Funny word, firmament. In the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters. Well, firmament, later used in some of the Bible dictionaries or Bibles as expansiveness, right? But firmament, the original word, means sphere or connected, drawn together. So he has all this light idea and he draws it together. And the second step of creation is the development of firmament or faith. Faith. Okay. The second day's creation is the second movement of God mind. Okay, he has his thought. Second day, he starts to push the thought or bring the thought together with faith. Day three, I'm going to read actually the words because day three is an important today's topic. God said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of waters he called the seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth put forth grass, herbs, yielding seed, and fruit trees, bearing fruit after their kind, wherein is the seed, therefore, upon the earth, and so it happened. And the earth brought forth grass, herbs, and yielding seed after their kind, and trees bearing fruit, wherein the seed thereof after their kind. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning on the third day. See, the third step of creation is the beginning of an activity of the mind called what? Imagination. He's putting details, imagining through great multiplication in forms this beautiful thing. The first day of creation reveals the light or the inspiration of the idea. The second day establishes the faith in that idea. And the third day starts giving it form. It starts to put in mind all the details, and we now call expression, right? And you know what he does? He stamps it. He stamps it. And he said, this is good. This is good. He placed upon the ideas their activity, and he blesses them. So he stamps and blesses from day 3 on, right? If you look at it that way. But he imagines the detail. He gives life to the seed to say into the seed, this is what you will do. He pushes it. Now, I don't know. Some people say that only humans can imagine. But I don't know. I've seen pictures and YouTube videos of gorillas looking into the sky and at the tree, and then taking, especially pandas. Pandas are really good at that. They start playing with stuff, and they use sticks, and they start doing things with it. Do you think in their mind they're imagining, what if I poke this? You know, when you see a cat looking out the window, staring at a bird, do you think he's imagining something there? Ooh, that'd be fun to chase that. Right? I'm not sure we're the only ones. I'm not sure. But we start to imagine what life would be like, what this idea is going to happen, what's going to happen in this situation. Now, I'll tell you, I always tell you little stories about myself, but when I was in my early 20s, I went to Taekwondo. I'm a 3rd-degree black belt. I can't lift my leg above my hip right now, but that's okay. In my 20s, I could. And in order to become a black belt, I had to break a 10-inch long, 6-inch wide, 1-inch thick piece of concrete. I had to imagine going to the floor on that, because if I saw the concrete, I would have never went through it. So I lived with the concrete for like a week. Touched it, lifted it up, envisioned going through it. Day comes of the test. They set it up. I hit it. Go to the floor. I break it. As if it wasn't there. My brother took a picture right when I hit it, and you see the concrete's bent like this. Only it's my wrist that's hitting it, not my fist. So I didn't imagine the black and blue that came afterwards, but I got through it. Imagination, we start to see the details of things. Day 4, he creates 2 great lights, the sun and the moon, which stands for will and understanding. On day 5, he creates fish, seas, the power of life. And the 5th step in creation are bringing forth the ideas of increase and multiplication. Also the idea of judgment. On day 6, he said, let there bring forth living creatures of land, and God created man in his image. In the image of God he created him, and God blessed him. See, on day 6 of creation, life itself is set into activity, and love and wisdom come into play, and strength. Love and wisdom. This is the mental image of man that we call the Christ. So God makes all things in his mind first. This is called involution. And then they are made in form and shape, and this is called evolution. Right? So how does that pertain to you? God executes his imagination into creation. Okay? And then the I am image from the point of man takes over. And those same ideas, that same energy that God created is in you. There's nothing stopping you. That your same process of ideas happens the way that it happened in the beginning. The I am, all of you are able to shape the formless. Do you believe that? Yes. Yeah. So these sound like huge ideas, but in reality, we do it every day. We do it every day. Unity's creative process is based on the 7 days of creation. And here it is. 1, illumination, light. 2, faith, firmament. 3, imagination, land. 4, will and understanding, light by day, light by night. 5, judgment, the fish and the fowl. 6, wisdom and love, creatures and humans. And 7, the Sabbath. Rest. Rest. See, Charles's 12 powers began in the beginning. And to understand the 12 powers is to understand that all the powers that will be talked about over the next 12 weeks are available to you. God created. He imagined you. And he created you. And he gave you all the same powers. All the same powers. We just have to recognize it. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Some days are better than others. But what does that mean? How do you demonstrate what God, or what Charles would say, was this creative process? Divine mind, idea, expression. It's where he began his idea and the foundation of that teaching that has brought unity as long as Charles and Myrtle started it in the beginning. Divine mind, idea, expression. So here's how you do it, using the creative process. I want you to think right now in your mind, an idea that you've had. You can close your eyes if you need to. Maybe something you've been mulling over. Something you wish you had in your life. Maybe you want to travel, write a book, draw, connect with friends, whatever it is. If you recall when you did the burning bowl ceremony and the white stone ceremony, you connected with something. Maybe bring that to mind. If you're new to unity, just close your eyes. Just close your eyes. With the power of imagination, 1, have you perceived this idea? Have you formed it? Have you envisioned or imagined the possibilities? Right now it's in the invisible realm. Have you given it light, attention, intention? This can pertain to you as a person, your spiritual growth. Have you imagined it? That's 1. With the power of imagination, have you given it shape? What will you do to increase your faith in order to make that happen? To give your idea the foundation it needs to connect that which you need to create or want to create. 3, with the power of imagination, have you infused it with color, with details? What would it look like? Smell like? Taste like? With the power of imagination, will, and understanding, have you taken it to prayer? Have you meditated on it? Have you set your clear intention, visualized it, talked to people about it, breathe life into it? The idea was divinely given to you. With the power of imagination, have you used your judgment to determine that the messages you are receiving in your body, what you are hearing, what you are sensing, is for your highest good? Is it for your highest good? Is it good? Is it blessed? Or are you forcing the idea or thought? 6, with the power of imagination, have you blessed yourself with love? That's a hard one. Have you shown wisdom through its creation? Have you created a plan? Did you write it down? Cut out pictures? Have you had the first step into manifestation to make this idea happen? Because now you have something tangible in your hand. have you manifested into something physical? With the power of imagination in 7, have you released it to God? Rested in the idea that you are a perfect image of the Creator, and rested in the promise it's God's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Some of those final steps are hard. I talked a couple weeks ago about feeling worthy. You are worthy. You see, every time you have an idea, this process happens. It happens fast. And when you get these ideas, that was an idea that came out of nowhere. It's yours to do. It's yours to think about, to create, to imagine. The power of imagination began with creation and has been following us this whole time, right? It's accessible to us. It's what makes your life and soul journey fulfilling. You were here a couple weeks ago, I talked about my trip. Manifestation. It started with an idea. Everything that you do starts with an idea. God created. You create. You create. You imagine. You're the one getting the idea. This is the process in which divine mind created. An unlimited substance of life is available to all of us with just one thought in one moment. One thought. One thought. God created and declared it was good. You are good. You are worthy. You are loved. You are loved.